Okay. Okay.
The image that you see on screen now.
The voice is too low.
I'll try that again.
The image. Try it again.
The image that you see on screen now is documentation of. The image that you see on screen now is documentation of a work. It's not a work. The image that you see on
emphasis on work.
The image that you see on screen now is documentation of a work. The image that you see on screen now is documentation of a work. The image that you see on screen now is documentation of a work in progress, titled LECTUS. It's not a work. It's more a set of methodologies, but it was a work, or at least it was framed as a work. It was part of Urgencies 2021. Urgencies 2021 was the second iteration of the CCA Dairy Londonderry's biennial group exhibition. Contextualizing the group exhibition, the curators wrote the two key themes of identity and environment thread throughout the offsite exhibition, as well as many other topics encompassing both deeply personal experiences and global political events. The artists explore questions of care and labour, mental health, borders, technology and nature, home and self-expression, pollution and the effects of global crisis, and the role of the artist and communication. And the exhibition was selected by Lockie Morris. Urgencies 2021 would usually be held within the Centre of Contemporary Arts Galleries.
So there are these
10 to 12
psychologists
Artillery
who believe that
Artillery
they're
Street
trying to prove that
in
those
CCA Dairy Londonderry.
that are
However, due to the ongoing pandemic, the project took place off-site and online. Artworks were only visible across, or as the gallery staged it. As the gallery phrased it, artworks were visible across our city through the windows of landmark buildings, commercial spaces, homes and arts organisations, also currently closed to the public.
And unlike previous linguists,
the original film
LECTUS
included a intricate stereo sound piece of the artist speaking about the form of the lecture in relation to their PhD research. Having observed documentation of the works in the window.
Conversation managers, people use these phrases in a very particular, deliberate way, says Clark. If we anticipate a delay in our speech, we choose that the appropriate sound to signal this. If we anticipate a delay in our speech, we choose the appropriate sound to signal this to the listener. These phrases mean, I need to make sure you realize I'm delaying because I'm having trouble. But this is not only, this could also be something in the place of signaling thinking, not a representation. There are two things I'm trying to do here. One is to analyze the implications of the lecture as a medieval form. So that's to analyze the implications of the lecture as a medieval form. But what does that mean? To analyze the lecture as a medieval form. The mistake I first made was to frame the analysis of the lecture of a medieval form through other medieval forms. For example, by composing a piece of music that may have been played more specifically, I'm trying to think about the forms within art school pedagogies that might, more specifically. Okay, so this is a symposium called My PhD Has No Words, and my understanding coming into this symposium is that this would be a symposium where the participants would advocate for artistic research. But actually, what I'm finding is that this is a set of presentations where the participants are anti-writing in a way. And the one thing that I don't want this practice to be is anti-writing. Things are collapsing. The publication of the first report of National Advisory Council on Art Education from 1960, otherwise known as the first Coldstream Report, is a graspable moment of displacement in the British art world. It represents a shift between an educational system based on disciplined studies of techniques and craft to one based on conceptual thinking and design. Its legacy is marked by trauma and confusion that deepened as the decade matured and as the decades rolled on, spilling over into creative outbursts and political revolt. It has become a symbol of oppressive, narrowly defined rigor and prejudiced artistic values. As such, both the report and the painter and educator who lent it his name, William Coldstream, have been blamed and demonized. So one of the things that this research is trying to do is take this provocation set forth by Kate Aspinall and a number of other art historians to show the kind of the ghosts, another word for ghosts, the spectres of the Coldstream Report in contemporary art school education, but also to look at how some of the forms forefronted by that report, no, not forefronted, how some of the forms.
A lecture is an oral presentation intended to present
report,
information or teach people about a particular subject,
medieval.
for example, by a university
But
or a college teacher.
Is there a point other
Lectures
than
are
pointing
used
to
to
the fact that
convey
these forms
critical information,
are
history,
medieval?
background,
Yes, but
theories,
I'm
and equations.
not sure how to articulate
a politician's
just
speech, a minister's sermon,
at
or
this
even a
particular
business
moment in
person's
time.
sales presentation may be similar in form to a lecture.
There is, of
Usually
course, a
the
relationship
lecturer
between
will
what you're
stand
looking
at the
at
front
and what
of
you're
the
listening
room
to.
and recite
But
information
I'm more
relevant to
interested
the lecture's
in
content.
the relationship between what you're looking at and listening to, how you're looking and listening to that, and what you're looking and listening to that on.
Lecture in Inauguration of the Chair of Literary Semiology, January 7th, 1977. For what can be oppressive in our teaching is not finally the knowledge of the culture it conveys, but the discursive forms through which we propose them. And I am increasingly convinced, both in writing and in teaching, that the fundamental operation of this loosening method is, if one writes, fragmentation, and if one teaches, digression, or to put it in precisely ambiguous word, excursion. This document is a document of fragments. This document is a digression. This document is necessarily an excursion. There will be no conclusion. Documentation is any communicable material that is used to describe, explain, or instruct regarding some attributes of an object, system, or procedure, such as its parts, assembly, installation, maintenance, and use. Documentation can be provided on paper, online, or in digital or in analog media, such as an audio tape or CDs. Examples are user guides, white papers, online help, and quick reference guides. Paper or hard copy documentation has become less common. Documentation is often distributed via websites, software products, and other online applications.